Welcome to the B2B Digital Marketing Insights Lab. B2B R&D Inc. offers research, a digital marketing search engine for PR professionals, digital marketing professionals, bloggers, researchers, all hand-curated information and links to the original resources so that you can stay on top of the news and trends in the world of digital marketing. I am Ellen Williams, CEO and co-founder, joined here by
Craig Yaris, the COO and your other co-founder.
My other co-founder. And today we're talking about influencer marketing. And this is a topic that if you've been to our website, we have tackled before. But as all things digital marketing, things change and things change pretty quickly. So we were talking prior to the start of the recording today that even our opinions of influencer marketing has changed over the past 6 months or so. And so there are different elements to influencer marketing. The bigger picture is that you're communicating on some level, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, with an influencer. And an influencer is defined as someone who has some power or authority to change someone's opinions or actions. And so when you talk about influencer marketing, the advantage of it is it's not just us telling you how great we are, it's someone outside of us giving that kind of advice that would influence people to take a look. So, Craig, I'll throw it to you. So with that being said, influencer marketing, we'll start small. Where would a small business start in trying to develop influencer marketing strategies?
And that's actually not an easy question to answer. Every business is going to want to look at their audience and who their audience is listening to. Who has the ear of the audience, or who does the audience have the ear of? Who has the...
No, you got it right the first time.
First time, okay. So you have to look at those people, and that's where you start to build a relationship. It's not just sending them a tweet that says, hey, I'm XYZ Corp, you should like us because of, we do the same thing. You need to really start relationships. Influencer marketing, when you're not talking about paid influence, starts with relationships. And I think there's a difference between paid influence and organic influence. For instance, for us, we will look at the information that comes across our desk, and we'll start to talk to the authors of those articles. And that's sort of the beginning of that influencer marketing relationship. We want to talk to them. We want to tweet their information. And it gets to the point where they'll then start to talk about you on their own, which is what makes it so much better. When it's paid for, I think it's a little bit more dicier, in my opinion.
So I think there's more than just the two that you identified. And,
of course.
When I started the conversation, I said, how you connect with an influencer, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. And you hit the nail on the head. It's a relationship. And I think you also said correctly, especially for a small business, it starts small, where you do your research, you understand who your audience is, who they're listening to, and then you start to build that relationship with that person or that organization. And then you also talked about paid. But I think regardless of whether it's organic or paid, it still starts with a relationship, because you want it to be, even if you're paying for it, you want it to be a natural, believable person that's, influencing people to work with you.
It should
but I
be.
think it should be, yes. And I think, but in the middle there are strong partnerships that are established for the sole purpose of influencer marketing, and that's communicated quickly. So organic influence, if it happens, great. If you've quote unquote convince them to give you a testimonial or something of that nature, that's a little bit of it. But I think influencer marketing goes a little further than that, and there needs to be that stated purpose, especially if it's part of your strategy, as that stated purpose that you're looking to build that relationship in order to get those recommendations and have that influencer on your side.
I agree, and I don't agree. I do see a very big difference between organic and paid influencers. I don't see the same relationships with a paid influencer at all, really. It's sort of like an advertisement. If I put an ad on Google AdWords, they're not endorsing me. They're strictly doing what I paid them to do. And I think with a paid influencer, the same goes, really. And when you talk organic influencers, I do think that the purpose is to build that relationship, but I don't know that every interaction you have with every potential influencer should have an expectation attached to it. And I felt like the way you had presented it sort of added that expectation of.
I think that's a third element or a third type. So you have the ones that run organically. You make the relationship. If they do, great. If they don't, that's okay too. It is what it is. We're going to continue to run our business and utilize, you used us as an example. We're going to continue to run our business and utilize their content, and promote them. And if they reciprocate, great. And if they don't, that's okay. And that's one form of influence. But I think besides that and paid, the middle ground is where you develop that partnership for the purpose of being the influencer. And maybe it's a bi-directional. We love what you're doing and we want to tell people about you. How about we create a partnership and build a relationship where you do the same on our behalf? And that, I think, becomes more of a strategy where you're specifically creating partnerships with people to be the influencer. I think there are three different types. Yeah. I'm not saying don't go your route. I'm saying there's more to it than just the hopefulness that they'll recommend you.
Now I'm going to, before I sort of jump in and unfortunately disagree a little bit about the partnerships aspect of it. Ivana on the side agreed with you that building a relationship has to have the same quality regardless of whether paid or not.
Yep.
And and
I'm going to comment on that too. I think what you were saying from a paid standpoint, relating it to advertising, I think there's a difference between a paid influencer and a paid spokesperson.
Yes, I totally agree with you. But what is the line of influencer and spokesperson? And, I think it's a very blurry line.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, they're both paid, right?
Yes.
But you get spokespeople, right? And so who is a spokesperson? If you look at advertising, like television advertising, you have spokesperson for a lot of brands. You have influencers that you can pay that aren't necessarily spokesperson because they have their own, not agenda, but they have their own brand, right? They have their own brand, they have their own business, and they're influencing their followers as far as their positive feelings about you.
Well, isn't that,
and you may pay them to do that, but that's not, but I may pay other people to do that too. So I don't necessarily see a spokesperson. I feel more as sort of the face. I would only have one spokesperson if I was a business that went that route, but I might have multiple influencers.
That's interesting. And again, using the term influencers, it doesn't sort of delineate between paid and not. If you're talking about
it doesn't.
Yeah, if you're talking a paid influencer, I believe they really are no different than a paid spokesperson. And because their goal is the same, they're going to talk about you to the people that they have that look up to them, in hopes of getting them to do business with you. which an influencer does and a spokesperson does. And you're right, we can have more than one influencer, and some brands had more than one spokesperson. I think about and I realize that this is probably a very silly example, but there's a spokesperson slash influencer for a psoriatic arthritis drug. And I only know this because I'm on the medication. I'm not taking it because he's an influencer.
Okay.
But he's a golf pro, and the market for that drug would be people of his age who look up to him. So he's both an influencer and a spokesperson for that medication.
I would think if you were going to go with a spokesperson, you would go with a spokesperson who would have influence. But I think influencer marketing doesn't necessarily have to be a spokesperson.
Oh, no,
I really think they're different, even if you're paying. And I think you have to be very clear about that, that it's sponsored, or, you need to be very clear both sides, that I'm paying you to influence and that you're being paid to influence, so that everyone understands that there is a background partnership there. But I think, and maybe I'm idealistic, but I would hope that paid influencers buy into what they're being paid to talk about versus a spokesperson getting a payday for it.
I think I certainly would hope so. And I'm similarly idealistic to you. That if somebody is trying to influence people to do something, that they at least have some sort of buy-in to the brand, the product, the service, whatever it is. But I still think in my mind, there's always sort of that, I don't know, questioning aspect.
Wait, I'm gonna call you out.
Awesome.
Okay, you are a constant contact authorized local expert.
Yes.
You influence people at your seminars to potentially utilize constant contact.
Absolutely.
And you're getting paid by whom to do that?
By Constant Contact.
Right. So you are a paid spokesperson, a paid influencer, yes. But you wouldn't do it if you hadn't bought into the product.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm not arguing with you on that at all. I bought into that product. I am an affiliate for several other similar companies. I don't use them, but I have mentioned them in the past. Not, of course, and I won't mention them by name now either. But so I will occasionally, regardless of my buy-in, I think they're decent companies. I don't, whatever. They provide a service. And so I will talk about them. Does that make me an influencer? I'm not a paid person, although I am, and I'm an affiliate. But I only get paid if and when somebody takes an action. So I don't know if that's a paid
in that case,
person.
Well, I think, I hadn't really thought about a channel. But a channel definitely are influences. All right, Melanie, you've been sitting there nice and quiet. I'm going to get you in this conversation.
I think we can have deeper clarification if we throw in two more words. So instead of just switching back and forth to spokesperson and influencer, let's throw in ambassador and endorser. So here's how I break them down.
Okay.
My understanding. A paid spokesman is anybody that you can hire talent to speak for you. They don't necessarily have to endorse you on the side or necessarily have to use that product. They're just paid to speak for the company because they look good or, they speak well or whatever it is.
Or they have some sort of following that's going to be beneficial.
Yeah. And then you have the paid endorser who is supposed to, of course, they get money for endorsing you, which implies that they themselves use that product or service. Then you have the influencer who isn't really necessarily paid at all. I would put them in the category not being paid at all, because an influencer is somebody who just takes it upon themselves to, they're already let's say they're already at a scale at 10, they're already very, very well known. And when they notice, the smaller fish in the pond, and they, and they want to share what you just did, that is an influencer, because someone said, wow, that big fish just influenced me to look at this little fish. Then you have the ambassador, which is not paid at all. And you can't have any control over an ambassador, because that's a cheerleader. That's people who are in the grocery store or in any store, and they'll look at a fellow consumer picking out shoes, and that person who looking at the person trying on shoes says, oh, have you tried Puma? Oh, I love Puma. I've had my Pumas for 12 years. That's an ambassador, and the company has no idea that brand ambassador is talking really great. And, and the brand ambassador could talk about it at a baby shower, company party, talk about anything. So I have them in 4 categories, but only 2 are paid. And that's the spokesperson, which is furthest away from developing any relationship. And then you have the paid endorser, which is a little bit closer.
So you're you're taking influencer and sort of breaking it into 2. You're saying there's the influencer who doesn't get paid, and then the brand endorser that does get paid.
Yeah, well, I say influencers don't get paid at all.
Really?
Because
that's interesting.
A paid influencer would become a paid endorser. So because I break them down into 4.
There's still I hear that totally, and I like the way you're approaching that. And I think we were talking about paid and not paid being both acceptable, but I think in the world of influencer marketing, they all exist. I think because if you're paying someone to be an endorser, then they have influence, so they're an influencer.
Yes.
So when you're talking about influencer marketing as a strategy, it really covers the gamut of, and I think it only covers 3 of the 4, because like you said, you have that ambassador, you called it, that is sort of freewheeling on their own, and I would call that a raving fan. Right? So if you have a raving fan, that's awesome, you've done a good job. But the rest of the other 3 of them are really part of a marketing strategy where you can create those relationships at different levels and pay for them or not. So who are reasonable influencers that you would include in a strategy? Is it, an obvious one would be an industry influencer. So I'm marketing to a specific industry. There's a very well-known thought leader, an influencer in that industry. So I'm going to, do my best to develop that relationship with that person and hopefully bring them on as part of my strategy. So industry leaders are kind of, the duh. Right. But who else could be? I know it's a technical term.
It is. You don't get much. You don't get much dough these days.
So who else would be someone that would be eligible to be part of an influencer marketing strategy?
Authors.
Who would you look for?
Authors. People who've written
Authors.
books,
Okay.
Within the topic or subject matter. I have a friend who does a lot of running. She's done a lot of Ironman triathlons. So an influencing group in there would be, there are local organizations that support that. So that would be an influencer. If she had a product and she can get them to, talk about it, use it, whatever, that's an influencer. The groups, sort of subgroups within an industry. I don't mean like the main industry groups, that are like way up here. I'm talking, the smaller groups. Definitely.
Okay, good. Anything else? I mean, authors, local organizations. What about bloggers are also great. They don't necessarily have to be super well known in the industry, but if they have a big enough following, they could definitely make a difference.
And this, I'm probably going to cross some line here, which, wouldn't shock me.
Thanks for the heads up, though.
And I believe this is an appropriate term. The mommy bloggers are hugely influential. They took down chapstick. after one of their commercials because it was just really inappropriate to them, and probably was to a lot of other people. But so that's, if you've got something that's going to fit them, you jump on that. You find those Facebook pages, groups, LinkedIn groups, Twitter groups that are that market, and you get them on your side. They're on your side, you're golden. If they're against you, you're probably need to rethink your strategy.
So you keep going to groups. You went to a local group. You went to these other groups. Right. So then I think that I'm not sure I agree with that. Okay. Because I'm looking for my I'm the influencer in that case, right? If I go to the group and I participate appropriately in a group and I just don't go there and sell to them, and I influence them and I bring the group on board, then I'm the influencer. But if I want to find someone to bring larger numbers to my organization and brand awareness, then I have to influence that one person and let them influence everyone else.
Even in a group, you still need to influence one. Once you get one who talks to two, there's that old Double Mint commercial. Mm-hmm. And they tell two friends. So although, yes, it's not Double Mint?
It's Fabergé shampoo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? And they tell...
Yeah, it's where, duplicated.
Well, right, the Double Mint was
the... Yeah, they were. That was double your pleasure, double your fun.
That's it. Alrighty then.
Yeah, that was a bad ad as well.
But you're right. No, you're right. So influencer marketing as a strategy can have a lot of different avenues that we're sort of uncovering as we start to talk about it. So it could be, very small, one influencing one or two people that influence one or two people, and that sort of domino effect happens. Or it could be, like you said, the mommy bloggers will use that because they are very influential. And so if you have a blogger with a following, if you can work with them and partner with them and build that relationship, they will influence their following. What about on social media? Is that little get that one person, or is that the raving fan sort of influencer? If I'm talking on social media and someone starts to talk to me, am I getting more influence from them than I might be directly from the brand?
Well, let me say that as far as social media goes, and you can isolate and target your influencers, but those influencers who know that you are targeting them and you're trying to get their attention, they can smell you and they will run from you and they will block you. They will do everything they can so that you cannot use them in that way. And I
don't know if I agree at all.
Oh, but that's what I've experienced. I was following his name is Eli. He's on Google Plus. Big name. And been following him for 3 years. And I like what he does. And I would always it's like, wow, if he could just notice me one time. Well, as I followed him, I could tell by the way he posts and calls people out. He'll say, you know what, I really dislike people, da 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 da. So one day I wanted him to be on Lights Camera HOA because he was the expert in these communities. I mean, these collections that Google Plus is doing. And I emailed him. Well, no, I sent him a thing through Google Plus saying, oh, I hope he, noticed me through all his 5, 6, 7 million followers, whatever. And I asked him if he would be on the show to talk specifically about collections. And he did. And I was like, do you want to know more about the show? Because, we're not like the big names or anything. And he said, no, I know who you are. And I know you're not doing that influence thing. He says, you genuinely want me to talk about what I know, and that's what I appreciate. And people were amazed that he was on our show, and that we were able to talk like we know each other, because we know each other virtually like that for a long time, but But he and other names I could name, they have, in their posts, they have had even blog posts about they don't like to be, they can sniff you out and they will avoid you because they know why you want to use them. So if you are going to have a strategy to hitch your wagon to a influencer like that, that'd be like that'd be like me, like, oh, I'm going to really get to know Ellen DeGeneres. Well, she has people sniff that out too. So it's that kind of thing. And if they know that you're just going to use them, it will backfire on you because they will, and that's just on one type of social media. And I think it's the same way with Twitter. If they can smell you and you smell stinky for that, they'll avoid you.
Yep.
See, and that's interesting because my experience has been very much the complete opposite. And yes, sometimes people that I've dealt with have their own agendas. They have a book, they have this, they have that. But for instance, I've reached out to somebody to be on, to join us here. And the answer was absolutely, let me just find the time. Now, he doesn't need to be on this blab with us, but he's doing it strictly because, look, I can help you. And I've never, I've done a lot of, I was a director of a sort of online interview show years ago. And everybody we asked to be on it. Now, these were people, I could throw names out, Guy Kawasaki, Chris Brogan, Seth Godin. These are big names who had no problem coming on. They were like,
because they have they have a better attitude about it. But there are some that are really,
and I think and in my mind, then it's those people that I don't know. Do I want them speaking about my brand then? If they're that kind of person?
I think I'm gonna take a little opposite view here. I think it's the way people are approached that turn them off, right?
Yes.
So if I haven't taken the time to build a relationship, if I'm not following you, if I haven't commented, if I haven't contributed with value and shown that, I am someone worth endorsing, and I just go straight to, hey, take a look at my product. Can you come on my show? And it is obvious, right? They sniff that out. Yeah. Okay, this person really doesn't know me and is looking to, as you said, hitch the wagon. I think that, so I think your lesson there, Melanie, is this guy's been burned a few times, and realized what happened and said, okay, I'm not going down that road. And when your approach was appropriate, that you built the relationship with him first, and he was aware of who you were before you asked, and what you asked wasn't endorse me, it was, could you come on my show? And like, Craig saying, hey, join us on Blab. I think that's the key here. Is the way in which the relationship was developed. And that's why I said in the beginning, it doesn't matter if it's organic or paid. The relationship needs to be there first so that there's true, real buy-in, whether I'm paying you to do it so you do it a little more often, or, you're doing it because you just really like the brand. Welcome, Ivana.
Hi, I'm trying to get my light. The lighting in this room is not as good as it normally is. Let's see if this helps a little bit. Not great, but hey.
There you go.
There you go.
Welcome.
I actually do some influencer marketing. I fall in that small business influencer category through DIY marketers, and I have another channel called Bizapalooza. And I really want to acknowledge you. Is it Melanie?
Yeah, Melanie.
I really want to acknowledge you for how you approached that particular influencer guy. I get pitched, my God, 10, 20 pitches on any given day. And how do I say this? It makes me,
you're flattered, right?
Yeah.
It's really cool that you say that, right? On the one hand, I'm really flattered, really.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other hand, when I'm pitched, I'm an advocate for small business, and through the brand, I'm happy to, I have my own calendar, my content calendar, and, there are things that get featured and so on and so forth. And then people will see that. And then like PR agencies will pitch me. And I've written several rants about this because what happens is they're like, oh, we have this cool new thing. Would you write about it? So yes, I'm happy that you see my content and you admire the way I do things. That's awesome. And at the same time, next thing you know, they're like, well, did you get it? Are you going to write? When are you going to write this thing? And I'm like, you understand that even if you give me cut and paste content, it's going to take me 2 hours to get it done. I mean, this is time.
When you get the 2 hours to do it.
When you get the 2 hours to do it.
Right.
So I really struggle. And I'm going to say that, let's say I'm working with Canon right now. This is a mutual love fest that we have going on. Their brand and my brand. I did not own a Canon printer. I owned an HP printer that was dead. Just so happened that way. They contacted me and I was pissed because I'm like, printer.
I hate printers.
For a better word, ampersand.
My pet peeve.
And I get contacted by Canon and in a very nice way. Now, they have not, unbeknownst to me, they're looking at something. It never occurred to me that I was an influencer. I landed on lists. I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers. You can see that. My site does not get millions of hits a day. It's not a secret. I get like 300-400 hits. It's not like that big. I am widely published, but it never occurred to me that I was this influencer. So I out and out asked them, why are you considering me? Why are you reaching out to me? And they said, you actually talk to people. You engage and you talk to people. And we love the energy and the spirit of the engagement that you have with your audience. I'm like, already done. They sent a printer that I install and so on and so forth. It's a little big, as you could see. This is like global headquarters of DIY marketers. This is like, right. So it's not an office. And I actually did love the printer. It had some features that I absolutely positively loved. And I wasn't sure how I felt about getting paid to talk about it. I'm happy to do it. And, but at the same time, there were requirements. Do you know what I'm saying? To do it right. So first, they gave us time to get to know them as a brand. They gave us support. They gave us the customer experience. They did not pay me to do this. I did this on my own. They gave me a ticket to go to this Canon Expo they had this past year in New York City.
Gee whiz.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
No, they just gave me this ticket. They took up all of Javits. I thought it was going to be a little tiny room. It was freaking all of Javits. And, but I paid my hotel. I paid my flight. I paid for everything. They said, if you want a ticket, come on in. But I wanted to go and see what they were really like. What were the representatives like? What were the people like? Was it a brand I felt good about?
Wow.
And I was really, really impressed. And so it's like this mutual relationship. And then, of course, I run a Bizapalooza online event. And when they shared the campaign with me, I wasn't even going to do it. And I saw what their objectives were. Well, I'm a marketing person, so I'm like, I don't know if you'd be interested. I wasn't even going to run this. But this is exactly what you're trying to accomplish. And if this is what you're trying to accomplish, I've already got an entire infrastructure dedicated to helping you accomplish this. Do you want to sponsor it? And they said yes. I mean, it wasn't at a level, it wasn't budgeted. It wasn't anything. So, and they've just been wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to work with. I've been lucky that a lot of the brands I work with are that wonderful. And there's a level of respect there. And quite frankly, if a brand contacts me and excuse me, I know they have money and they want me to do this kind of stuff for free, what kind of integrity would I have if if one company is paying and then the other company isn't?
Based on the same scale of success for them, right?
Success for them, because like anything else, and Craig, you're absolutely right. There are, different influencers do different things. Some of them have books, some of them have software, some of them have all these other things that they do. But no matter how you slice it, you're a human being that's got to get content out there, and that takes time and it takes effort. And I'm not doing it for free. I'm not.
Yep. Yeah. And there's no reason that you need to. And I think as long as that's clear, that this is a relationship you have with them, but it's based on the fact that you are a raving fan and you are, happy to be having that relationship.
And and what I'm saying by this is I was not a raving fan until I got connected to the product.
Sure.
Right. Well, what's amazing about
but you are now.
I am now.
Well, what's amazing about that story is you have this huge, well-known company who notices a dissatisfied consumer with a different competing product and says, we can have a solution for her right now. And they took that a little extra step to, get into her world and say, we want to help you with the solution. And then it just blossomed into a bigger and better thing than ever imagined.
It was a bigger and better thing. So it was, I don't know how they recognize me. I'm assuming, these PR people, you guys are agencies, better than I do. There are these magical softwares out there that are compiling lists, looking at data and Twitter APIs and who knows what. I've had exposure to a few. I've learned since that day a couple years ago, I've learned a tremendous amount about influencer marketing, and that it's not all about reach. And these days, my number one goal is engagement. It's what the brands like. It's what I'm good at. And it's what I aim for. So when I'm so I just started a tweet chat and a blab myself. It runs on Thursdays. And the only goal is engagement.
Right.
Exactly. Everything starts there.
And
exactly.
Get anything else prior to that. So anything good starts with engagement, and that's exactly what they did with you, right? Correct. They engaged with you, and it led further. And so there are many wonderful elements to that story, but I think it's a great example of an influencer marketing strategy. They found someone who was unhappy with a competitor that they liked, as they told you, the things that you were saying, you were communicating with people, and they said, if we can bring her on board, then this is going to help us. Yeah. So so a little different than what we had been talking about in the last half hour, which was developing the relationship and, getting sniffed out that they were looking for an influencer. They went right for it, but had to prove themselves before she came on board. So the relationship was still required, even though that initial contact was with the intent to be an influence.
And they have a great strategy. Now, understand, they have a team. They all have always run a team of influencers. So Barbara Corcoran was on the team. I was on the team, and then she and I were the only two that have gone back to back for the last couple years. And then they've rotated other people. And you can tell that you've got a celebrity like Barbara Corcoran who has tremendous reach, and she may have relevance to the small business conversation. I'm not excited. There are three categories I like. There's reach, relevance, and resonance. right?
There you go.
Now she's got reach and she's got relevance. Whenever I noticed on her stream, if she would put, like we all put out a request, right? So when she would put out a request, she would have, just by the sheer volume of people, she would get some good responses. But proportionately speaking, those of us with a smaller audience got proportionately better responses.
It's more intimate.
Of course. That makes perfect sense.
So now you have Canon being a larger brand with a really interesting strategy, right? That they've got we'll go back to Melanie's terminology. They've got the ambassador? No, they don't. The other guy.
I think they're trying to create ambassadors.
The
right?
endorser.
The endorser. Right. So you've got the endorser, and what was the one above that?
The spokesperson.
Okay, so you've got Barbara Corcoran as the spokesperson. Really very obvious. They've bought a celebrity. We've got Ivana here as the paid endorser, right? And both of those trying to develop those ambassadors, right? And so they're missing. Which one were they missing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What are we with?
Melanie, which one were they missing? What's
the influencer?
The influencer.
Right.
So they may or may not have any of those as far as your scale is concerned. But it's absolutely a strategy that they've developed. And they went, and they went the total opposite. Now, you're talking about a big brand that can entice someone very quickly because the brand is well known. Now, they definitely had to prove themselves, hopefully to Barbara Corcoran as well. But at least they got your ear because they were already well known. You start talking about a small business, and I think we do have to go, as we said earlier, a little of the opposite. You sort of have to build that relationship before you can say, I'd like to do this.
I'm actually offering little influencer sponsorship packages that are like not brand level, smaller, more, intimate. But I do have to tell you something really, really interesting.
Great.
That is. So this is like from the influencer insider circle, right? Because all these influencers are all friends.
Lean in.
Right? Everyone is a friend, right? We're all friends with each other and everyone knows everyone else. And once you get like pretty deep into the community, what you realize, at least what I realize, let me just speak for myself. What I realize is that there are what I call true influencers, because what's important to me is engagement. Like somebody would say, you were saying, Melanie, like you contacted the guy and he contacted you back. To me, that's what I call a true enthusiastic influencer, where their number one priority is engagement, and they will engage with everyone to the best of their ability. I'll give them that. Like if you tweet to me, I will tweet back, I will respond, I will email, I will get on the phone with you, I will do whatever. And I expect the same from other people. But there are what I call red lighter influencers who speak one thing, but behave like divas. Okay. I'm not naming any names. You should all know for yourselves. You've had that experience where you're engaging with someone and I just had this experience. I was shocked.
What happened? I mean, I want to know.
I'm not going to say who it is, but I can tell you that this person is known. Their brand is about relationship and engagement. This is like what their brand is all about. They have written books. They get paid tons of money to get up there and talk this, right? And just like you, Melanie, I reached out and this person responded and they asked me if I was going to pay them $5,000.
Holy cow. Oh.
Yeah, I know. I've dealt with that kind of
And I'm like, so
also.
You're charging for an interview? He goes, well, I don't charge for interviews. And I'm like, well, if you really need me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm not the one who's really going to I don't really need you But quite honestly, not to sound like whatever, you're an author and you might need me. I'm the book editor for Small Business Trends. I'm running book awards right now. Who do you think is going to get special treatment?
Goodness
Meaning,
gracious.
like, when you get 60 emails, whose email is going to get answered? They're all going to get answered, but who's going to get answered first? Right? Or someone has a book coming out and the PR person says, oh my goodness, you know, I'm sorry, I wanted to get this to you sooner. Can you do this? There are people for whom I will move heaven and earth.
Absolutely.
For my influencers that work with me on Bizapalooza, I will move mountains. And I will put my team to work for them.
So what happened to the
nothing,
the relationship with that person? I mean, you feel like you feel this kind of animosity towards this person?
I feel like a sort of, I don't feel inclined. I feel that this person's brand has forever been tarnished, and I will never speak against anyone else ever. That just isn't who I am. There are a ton of people who admire this person, and that's fine. You know, but let me tell you, I see on my Twitter stream and they're like, oh, this person is the master of blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, not to me, he's not.
Yeah. And it all comes back to the relationship.
It all comes
right?
back to the relationship.
And whether or not you saw the real person or caught them on a bad day, you know, is sort of moot. You know, it's the way they behaved in their relationship to you, and it's the way you're carrying forward. And I think we all know people that we question, and groups of people love them, and we go, why? Why do you love this person? I don't see it. I don't get it. You know, but then so you decide whether you want to be, you know, part of that group or not. Do you play along when it's appropriate? Like you said, I'm not going to walk in and go, why do you like her? Or why do you like him? You know, I'm going to walk in and go, hi, hi. And then you're going to play along. You know, but internally you have, you know how you're going to behave when the day is done. And I'm not going to do business with that person, and I am going to do business with someone that I care and have a good relationship with.
Correct.
And whether it's influencer marketing or anything else, it's really the relationship.
What I wanted to say about that was, one thing that a brand may or may not realize when they're choosing an influencer strategy is, what I wanted to say is, influencers are connected. They're connected to each other, and they do help each other. So when you get one, you actually get a lot more than one.
Sure, that's the idea.
That is the idea. The other thing that that I noticed after having swum in the waters for a while is that there are influencers who will go above and beyond, to your point, Melanie, that truly become, a brand can, like they did with me, you can turn an influencer into an ambassador. Where there is a contracted thing that you must do. And oftentimes these contracted requests are extremely reasonable. I always go above and beyond because I already have an infrastructure. It's no big deal for me to give you 5 more tweets. I mean, really.
Right.
So, but those kinds of things. And I noticed that there were influencers inside campaigns that I know that only do like the contracted amount. So
that's what they're getting paid
fascinating to me that even inside of this world, you know, there is discerning. There are nuances of people and their commitment. To your point, Melanie, this range of people. You know, that's what makes influencers so powerful, is that you not only get the ones that are connected and have infrastructure and blah, blah, blah. There's like what's on the outside, the cover, and then there's the substance underneath the cover. And I think that's fascinating. I never knew that was there.
Sure.
Well, when you got your Canon printer, did you like do a YouTube unboxing and all that?
I did.
Did you really?
I did. I did not. I shared it with them. I didn't, I didn't they didn't ask for that. I didn't know if they wanted that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I did. What the other thing I did is they did give away printers. Like every month we gave away a printer. It was, can I tell you, the most fun I have ever had telling people that they want a printer. And what I asked folks to do was to give me either pictures or short videos and send them to me or post them on Twitter. I collected all of those and I sent those to them, and they played that for Canon. And the people, I was going to call them the board, but the people that were involved in that, they said they were nearly brought to tears.
Oh.
They had I'm getting chills. They had no idea the kind of impact that this giant couple boxes show up at your door. And inside is this gorgeous printer and an American Express gift card or something, and all this stuff, and an iPad, and like all this stuff. And you could just see like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And they're like, we had no idea this was such a contribution to them. I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I'm sorry. People would love to get a session with Barbara Corcoran. Don't get me wrong. Like, who wouldn't? But a printer showing up at my door with $600 worth of stuff is something I can run my business on.
There's longevity there. Yeah. I mean, there's longevity, I'm sure, with the advice you would get from Barbara Corcoran, but then it's left to you to actually do something with it.
Well, and plus, if there's pictures and videos, those in charge of the brand, they get to see the humble dwellings of all the people that they've, that they've given to, and that's what brings people to tears, because you say, oh my gosh, it's that little brick house or whatever, it just, that's what touches you.
I told this story to a couple employees. They almost cried. They were like, really? And they're like, it feels so good to know that even though my role is, maybe I'm a tech support person or whatever, but I've contributed something
that has an impact.
Right. You made a difference.
With the emotional side.
Yes.
The other side of influence, right? Where you're literally connecting the consumer to the brand in a very powerful way.
I mean, that's the goal. You just nailed it. That, if your strategy is influencer marketing, your goal is exactly that, connecting the consumer or the client directly to the brand in an emotional and passionate way. Yeah. Absolutely.
So now that I've derailed your conversation, I apologize.
No, not at all.
Oh,
you contributed. It was fantastic. Yeah. We were just, three of us just blabbing. like we do.
As I say, we be blabbing.
Do you guys run influencer campaigns? What brought up this topic for you?
We do research on all aspects of digital marketing. So we have this blab every week. Digital marketing insights, and we try to pick a topic that we find in our more recent research or things that we are seeing bubbling to the top out there with the research that we do. So
research on influence?
We do research on all aspects of digital marketing. And one of the recent things, and Craig, you may be able to disseminate this better, was Forbes is doing some interesting turn of influencer marketing. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal that they've got a group of influencers being journalists and publishers, and they're sort of selling tickets, for lack of a better word, to reach these people. Craig, do you want to expand on that?
Sure. What they're doing is they are basically creating sort of an influencer network, and they're inviting advertisers to pay for access to this network of journalists, academics, and bloggers who are influential in whatever key subject areas they've set out. So instead of the marketers paying influencers directly, they're going to use Forbes sort of as a broker in the relationship with the marketers, however, committing to spend.
Loving this idea, Ron, huh?
Shaking my head.
$100,000 per month for 6 months to gain access to that network.
This was my, I hate to tell you this, this was my idea.
Well, where's my checkbook? I got to write the check. I got to.
Well, this was
Making that clear. I'll follow it.
Great, Ivana really has something to say.
I know. That was the first. Ivana's trying to jump into the computer.
Oh, I'm just nothing new under the sun. I came up with an idea for my whole Bizapalooza channel because I have all these influencers and everyone's like, how do you do this? And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wow, how do I create this thing? Forbes done it. Very good.
Yep. And you know, I was able to pull that up using research, our proprietary search engine for digital marketing. That's how I was able to get that.
Yeah, and it's research separated with a hyphen, so it's like the search with a re in front of it, which I think is really clever.
Yes.
It's like it's just not research; it's redoing the search.
Exactly, because we've already done all the work for you, and so we built this database that you can research.
Yes, I love it.
Yep, it's a search engine. It's a digital marketing search engine with hand curated and expertly written content that links back to all the original articles that we read to garner that information in the first place. So a quick search on it.
Is that on your site or what?
It is. It's what we sell. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's b2brnd.com, and it's a subscription-based product, and it's 24/7 access to a wonderful warehouse of content all about digital marketing.
This is going to be my resource. I did not know. See, that Mosaic group, they just have the best people.
She's referencing a local, well, not even local. She's referencing a marketing group that she and I are both participants in.
Where are you at, Melanie?
I'm in Ohio, Dayton, Ohio area.
I used to live in Dayton.
Oh, did you? Congratulations for going. No, I.
You got out.
When did you get out? That's like the joke around here. Like, did you get out?
Can I tell you, best kept secret in Ohio? Dayton is the best kept secret in Ohio. Loved it.
We are the crossroads of America. We have 70 going east and west, and 75 going north and south, and all points. So we are it. We are.
I got my master's at Antioch.
Oh, very nice.
EMP6, baby. That tells you that I'm old. That's what that tells you.
Yeah, I like Dayton. It's, I've been here many, I can't tell you how long. I didn't grow up here, but when I moved here, it was very different I came from the Akron, Cleveland area.
Oh, so you came from where I am.
Oh, that's where you are now?
I'm in Medina.
Medina. See, you pronounced it correctly. It's not Medina, like everybody wants to say. It's Medina. So when I came down here, I had to learn how to do things the way they do it here because it's a different world. But it's so flat, and there's no.
Imagine moving from Pittsburgh. So I'm from Pittsburgh. I lived in Philly and did the whole New York, Philly, DC, Boston, blah, blah, blah. And then from there, I moved to Dayton. And when I was moving to Dayton, all my snooty Philadelphia friends were like, what? Do they have tables there?
When I first moved to Dayton, the commercials very early in the morning were about herbicides. And I said, where did I move? This is, farmland. I said, where's the tire companies and the manufacturing companies and the steel companies? Here it's farmland and herbicides and pesticides.
You know what the headline was on the Dayton Daily News the day I came to interview for my job?
Oh, I can't imagine.
Guys are going to love this. You New York people are going to freaking love this. I'm in the hotel. I get the paper, and the headline is, man gigs himself, but good.
Okay.
I don't even know what this means.
What is? Yeah.
Okay, so a gig.
That's not in research.
A gig is, imagine like a paddle with 3 pointy pieces of wood coming out of the head.
It's like a pitchfork.
Kind of, but they come out like this. And you use it to pitch frogs. For frog hunting.
Oh, specific, huh?
Take a gig frog hunting, and you, and then the frog gets like slapped.
Yeah, we got it.
And apparently what had happened to this poor gentleman is he stepped on the handle part of the gig and it went into his head. And he was the front page.
But that was
in
the front page.
in January of 1993.
Well, I've been here before that, and let me tell you, I learned a lot about farming just early in the morning.
So I hate to,
Yes.
interrupt your wonderful conversation. I'm going to wrap up this blab.
Influence. I was sitting there thinking, what does this have to do with influence?
It's blab.
It's frog legs for everybody. That's all I can say.
It's relationships.
So thank you for joining us, Ivana and Melanie. Melanie is with us just about every week. We met here on Blab several months ago, and we've had the pleasure of working with her. Mm-hmm. She's been doing the editing on our morning sip videos, and she's passed the baton back to us and taught us well. And so we appreciate you jumping on board in the inauguration of our video project Morning Sip. I am Ellen Williams, CEO and co-founder of B2B R&D, and we have Research is our product, and it is a digital marketing search engine. And a lot of the writing and reading is done by...
Oh, that's
me.
And I'm Craig Yaris, the co-founder and COO of B2B R&D. And yes, a lot of the research is done by me.
Yep.
And by you.
Yeah. We definitely partner in that. But I honestly believe, and it's been in print, that he and I are the two best read marketers on the planet, because there are about 2,700 pieces of content in our database, and we read all the articles that created them, and we wrote and edited every single piece. It's information you cannot get directly from Google because it's behind our paywall. And as one of our subscribers recently said, we take out all the Google garbage. So when you're searching Google for the types of content that we have, you're going to get a lot of sponsored ads and blogs that have value but may not be giving you the information you're looking for, and you don't get any of that.
And it's very affordable for small business owners. You didn't say that. I have to tell you, I was thinking to myself, oh my word, who's going to afford this? They're in New York. They probably got agencies. And here I see it's really affordable. When should, what kind of company or what kind of a business should be subscribing to this?
Well, thank you so much for that question. It's really targeted toward anyone who's interested in maintaining their knowledge on digital marketing, but primarily, certainly digital marketing professionals, advertising agencies, PR professionals, because the information there will support the need for whoever they're trying to promote as the expert on the topic, and certainly bloggers and researchers. So if a lot of what you do revolves around the digital marketing world, we are a tremendous resource. And not only is it researchable or searchable, it's taggable. So you can create your own tags within the database and organize our data in a way that makes more sense to you.
And is there a way to like have a preview or to see what's in there and all that stuff?
There sure is, Craig.
Well, there's two ways. There's a free 30-day trial, of course, but there's also in the menu bar, there's a categories item. If you click on those, it's a list of all of our major categories as well as sample content that's going to be.
That gets updated every week. So the content on those subcategory pages will have some of the most recent pieces of information on those various categories.
You guys
can try it for free for 30 days.
I think.
So do we have a new subscriber, Ivana?
I'm going to troll around, and I definitely want to have a conversation about this because I think this is something, I'm kind of curious about if, probably someone in the marketing department of a business should be watching this. You talked about certain things for industry. I don't know. I don't know enough. I'm going to dig around. I'm going to dig around like that.
Great. I'm thrilled to hear all the feedback that you have. Feedback is a gift. the good, bad, the ugly, and we can learn from it. And I appreciate the questions about the product, and obviously you went to the website to take a look. So we're going to sign off for today, and we want to see you next week at our Blab. It's every Friday at noon on noon Eastern on Blab, and it's always a digital marketing topic. We haven't gotten next week's set up yet, but we will by the end of the week, the end of the day. Join us at b2brnd.com. We take some of the previous blabs and turn them into blogs. We've been slicing up the content into 1 and 2 minute pieces and then putting the transcript as content. So if you don't want to sit through conversations about Ohio, you can, you can see things that are a little more relevant to digital marketing.
But why wouldn't you?
I don't. Maybe we'll make that a separate blog post. Yeah. So thank you all for joining us, and look forward to seeing you next week.